Ready? Burn!
I'm Eash, the head football coach at Illinois Wesleyan University in Bloomington, Illinois. Been the head coach here for the past 24 years. Played here and played for my coach, Coach Don Larson, who was here for 32 years. So we've had two coaches here in the last 56 years. So there's a lot of tradition, and it's a great place to coach at. I'd like to talk to you a little bit, some X and O's today. Every head coach has a certain side of the football that they lean to, no matter what level you're at. And I've always been on the offensive side of the football. I put a lot of trust in my defensive coordinator, who is Mike Murray. He's been with me many years here at Illinois Wesleyan. But I'm on the offensive side of the board and ball. And the one area that I've always kind of worked with, I've worked with all areas. When I first came back to Illinois Wesleyan, I was the quarterback coach. But let me say this, you can have the greatest skilled players in the world. You can have the greatest quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, but if it doesn't get done up front with the offensive line, then it's all for naught. And so I went back and started working with the offensive line. And I have a saying, it's up here on the board, without the horses, the ponies don't run. And that's so true. And so you need to take a lot of time with the offensive line and make sure that you have a solid group up front that can allow you to use your great athletes that you do on your football team. I'd like to talk to you a little bit this morning about some of our offensive line technique circuit drills that we do. And this is a pre-practice thing. And a lot of these things can be done before everyone comes together. And I think that's a real important time in your practice plan to get a lot of teaching done. And our players know that, and when they come out, they kind of do a lot of these things on their own, which takes a lot of pressure off of me as a head football coach, because there's other areas that I need to pay attention to a little bit. But I thought I would take you through this. These are things I think anybody can use at any level, and I think they're really important to be stressed. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit and talk about them. Won't be a lot of demonstration going on, but I'll try to do the best I can in describing what I'm talking about. The first thing that when our offensive linemen come out, and this should be a relaxed time because they're getting caught up with each other. They haven't seen each other all day. They're coming out of class, and it could be a very strenuous day for them academically. And so I want them to be relaxed. I want them to have some fun, and our offensive linemen do. They're a very unique group. And I think offensive linemen as a whole, when you compare them to other segments, are kind of unique. You want them to be very cerebral. They have to be thinkers. They have to play under control. They're not like your defensive players. They have to be thinking about the next play, not the last play. But the first thing that we want them to do, we want them to come out and work on their stance. I think it all starts with your stance. If you don't have a great stance, then you're not going to be able to move. And so they work on their stance. I want them to be comfortable in a stance. I don't want them to be overextended. I want them to be in a stance that they can move in all directions, because we're going to ask our offensive linemen to run block, pass block, do some pulling, things like that. And defensive linemen in college are very, very smart, so you got to be careful because you can tip them off of what you're doing if you don't have a very balanced stance. I also believe in teaching both right and left-handed stances. I think that's important. We always want to be open to the outside. So if you're in the right side, you're in a right-handed stance. If you're in the left side, you're in a left-handed stance. And I want our players to be able to do both. And they should be able to do that. So work on stance and starts. The next thing that we do is we work with pipes. And we get some PVC pipes, plastic pipes, and you cut them so they're probably about maybe 14 inches long, 16 inches long. Very inexpensive. You can go to the hardware store and pick those up and cut them. But what we do is we put those pipes down on the field, on a line, and then we're going to work our various steps that we use. And I do teach steps, and I teach aiming points. That's where it all starts. Proper footwork and proper placement is so important at the college level. So we're going to take those pipes, we're going to put them down on the ground. For example, if your field is running this way, okay, here's your football field, and here's your yard lines. We're going to take those pipes and we're just going to put them like that, and our players come out and they're going to work on these steps. And the whole thing about the pipe, we don't want our foot to come off the ground too far, just enough to pick it up and put it down, and we want to move it. So you just want to get that size of pipe that you get a little space when they take that step. But we're going to work on the upfield step, a slide step. Upfield is straight ahead. We always teach a 4 to 6 inch step just for teaching purposes. A slide step is a lateral movement, okay, to the right or left. A reach step is up and out. A bucket step is back and width without turning your hips and shoulders. And then the open step is stepping deeper back and turning hips and shoulders. Those are the steps that we use in our offensive blocking schemes. So our players know that. We're going to work those. They can work those on their own. They always work it out of their stance. So work stance and starts, then get on the pipes and do that on your own. And then this is all kind of individually, but then when we get organized, we're going to go over on the boards, and these are rubber boards or 2x12 wooden boards, whatever you want to use. And we're going to get their hips and their knees and ankles warmed up, because that's what's important with offensive linemen. So we're going to work on low waddles, where we're going to get down and we're going to take a wide base, toes turned out, and we're going to go as low as we can and slow as we can to get our legs warmed up. And then we're going to work on low shuffles. So we get on behind the board and we turn sideways, and we always take a front foot first step, and then the back foot kind of drags, and that back step is a short step, but really low again, almost setting the square, but it's almost a squat position. We're very, very low on the low waddles and low shuffles. And then we will do a dynamic warm-up that everybody uses, other segments, and stretch, but I have down here very short. I like to warm our players up doing specific drills and fundamentals. So if there's anything you want to cut down on, is cut down on your dynamic stretch, warm up and stretch, and do more football related things. And we stretch by segments at Illinois Wesleyan. We don't do it by team. We will come together and do a very short team warm up, but it's just more or less to get everybody together and motivational. After we do a short dynamic warm up stretch, we will get back on the boards and we'll work on a regular waddle, and we'll use our steps. And this is just board work. For example, we might put our right foot in the middle of the board and take a slide step, lateral step, get the second step down the board, and then we'll waddle down the board. And waddle to us is getting power and strength out of your legs, okay? We overemphasize our base. We want to be wise. We want our toes turned out. We want our knees bent. We're in this position here, and we're going to take short power steps down the board. That's our waddle. But we're going to do it with a dry block, a slide step, and then we're going to angle the boards, and we're going to do them at an angle. So the first one might be with the boards straight on, and the players go down the boards. The next one will be with the boards at an angle, and they're going to have to take a bucket or open step. Okay, so we'll work on the boards with regular movement. The next warm-up that we do is called a redirect drill, because in football, how many times does the defensive lineman just stand there and let you block him? Okay, defensive linemen are moving all the time. So we got to get players used to changing direction and opening their hips and getting in the right direction. So we'll do what we call a redirect drill. Our players will line up in a line, and they'll get in the stance, and as a coach, I'll stand or sit right here, and what I'll do is I'll say set hut. They'll do a one-step start. So they take one step out of their stance, cock their elbows, and then the coach will give 3 directions. He'll point this way, left, right, or straight ahead, and that player has to waddle through the cone. So if I point this direction, he's going to have the cone go through his legs. If I point to the left, he's going to go left through the cone. If I go straight ahead, he just waddles straight ahead. So it gets them to react and see the change of direction of the defensive lineman. So this is a redirect drill. And you go through it real fast. You say set hut, point direction, this guy goes, next guy goes, and so forth. Okay? Then we go and we work on our pass pro footwork. And this is called zigzag. And what you do is you get 6 cones and you set these cones up about 4 yards apart. And what you're gonna work on is you're gonna work on a hard post and a kick angle, because those are the 2 things you do in pass pro, no matter what level you're at. A hard post is you work with the inside move. That's your post foot's up, and it's just a slide step, and the second step comes with it, and that's closing off the inside move. If you have an outside move, it's a kick angle, where your outside foot steps back and your inside foot steps back. So it's not so much turn your shoulders and hips, but it's kicking back, kick back, step back. So, for example, my players will get up here and they'll face me, and we're going to hard post here, kick angle back to the cone, hard post, kick angle, hard post. That's how you get the zigzag. Then they'll come back up here and start here, and they'll hard post this way, kick angle, hard post, and so forth. You can either, to get a lot of kids through, you can do a double zigzag. Okay, you can put, and you can have two players go at once and get a lot of kids through. So zigzag is something we do every day. The next thing, if we have time, you're not going to be able to do this every day, but certain days, we'll always work on sets by alignment. This is pass pro. I don't think you can pass protection unless you know where to set on that defender. So what we have our players do, the X's are our players, is the O's are their helmets. So they get up, they face me, the coach is here, and they put their helmets down on the ground, and that helmet is the defensive alignment. And so I will tell them, okay, move so your helmet's to your inside foot. And so we'll work what we call a hard post. Then I'll say, okay, move so your helmet is head up, and we'll work a soft post. A soft post is just getting out of your stance, picking your feet up and putting them back down. I believe that you can't set, in order to set, you got to move your feet. So head up, we're right where our aiming point is, which is a sternum. Then we have them move so the helmet's to the outside of them, and that is a kick angle, 2-step set. And then we'll move so the helmet's wide, and that's a kick, slide kick. So we'll work sets by alignment every day, and that helps our players know how to set on a defender as far as pass protection. And then we'll also work quick sets, because, and this is one thing I see from high school linemen, or linemen coming out of high school, is they have a hard time of getting into the proper pass pro stance. In college, everything happens so much faster. So we work this drill, which is called a quick set. You pair up, got a partner, one person's offense, one person's defense. The offensive person gets down their stance. And when I say set hut, they'll come up and soft post their feet, get their head and shoulders back, and the defender will try to reach and grab the back of their helmet. And if they can grab the back of their helmet as they come out of their stance, then they're too slow. And we also want to get our hands on the chest as quick as we can. So we work quick sets every day, because I think that really helps them to get out of their stance and get in a proper position. And then the last thing, if we have time, is we'll work hands. Hands are so important in college. Hand placement, we always tell our players, low hands win. It's a leverage game all the time. So the first one we do is called a sensitivity drill, and we'll have the offensive player get in a pass pro stance, get his hands in the chest of the defender, and he'll have him close his eyes. And we'll have the defender knock his hands off, and when your hands get knocked off, you got to replace them back to the chest. So it's kind of what we call sensitivity. Your hands are knocked off, replace. Then what we'll work on is we'll work on a trap. If the defender's hands are ever below your hands in a pass pro, the weakest part of the defender is right behind his hands at the wrist. So to trap, to get his hands off, you're going to take your hands, karate chop behind the hands of the defender and knock his hands off, get your hands back up. Okay? That's called a trap. We might do 3 in a row. And then the other one we work on is the wedge. If the defender's hands are high and your hands are low, but you still don't like the pressure you're getting, then we wedge the defender's arms. And wedging is right behind the elbows of the defenders, and we come up and we knock these hands off and out and replace our hands on the chest. So we work trap down, wedge up, and the last one you're going to get a lot of as far as technique from a defender is spinning. And kids have a tendency to lunge when someone's spinning. So we'll get them lined up and we'll put the defender with his back to the offensive lineman, and we'll have him spin one way or the other. And all we do is tell him to spin in the direction of the, or step in the direction of spin and drive the bus. You know, just keep driving the bus no matter which direction it goes, and don't overextend with your upper body. But these are things that we do before practice starts. And that's a lot of technique work, and it gets your players warmed up, gets them thinking about what you're going to do. This is something that you can develop as a circuit. Once you teach them, they become coaches out there, and it's amazing how your older players will help your younger players, and it's just one of those traditional things that you develop and keep going. This is some little thing, you know, some little things that we do with the offensive line. If anybody would be more or would want more information on offensive line play or what we do, I'd be happy to sit down and talk with them. You know, we're open to coaches coming in at any time. That's what football coaching is all about, is sharing ideas. And then we do have, I do run a big line camp in the summertime. It's been going for 20 years. Run it with Paul Alexander, who's the offensive line coach with the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's a great teaching camp. And so welcome coaches to come and attend that, or come with their linemen and see what we do a little bit. But thanks for listening, and I hope some of those things you can take and use in your program.